Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. New IRS form available for self-employed individuals to claim the COVID-19 sick and family leave tax credits under FFCRA. IR 2021-31, February 8, 2021, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service announced today that a new form is available for eligible self-employed individuals to claim the sick and family leave tax credits under the Families First Corona Response Act, the FFCRA. Let me see if I can put this in some context. This is just my interpretation in an attempt to put it into some context to understand it better. In 2020, they wanted to give some relief to employers who had employees that were dealing with the COVID-19 issue, and part of the way they were going to deal with that was with the payroll taxes. So they're going to have certain type of credits possibly related to the payroll taxes. Then the question came up of, well, what about sole proprietors? Because for many tax purposes, they treat sole proprietors in a similar way as if they're employees of themselves. In other words, the sole proprietors typically have to pay both employee and employer portion of basically payroll taxes, or in other words, Social Security and Medicare. So if you're going to give this benefit to other people for basically payroll taxes, shouldn't there be a similar benefit to the sole proprietor, which we're treating in a similar way as employees, at least with regards to kind of like payroll taxes, Social Security, and Medicare. So this would be then the attempt for people that are sole proprietors, those that have a Schedule C type of business and can think of themselves in effect being an employee of their own business, at least with regards to the IRS treatment of Social Security and Medicare taxation on them. This is kind of geared towards them. So you're thinking sole proprietor type of business who was affected by the COVID-19 issue, and that's kind of where you're zeroing in on as to the applicability. So eligible self-employed individuals will determine their qualified sick and family leave equivalent tax credits with the new form 7202, credits for sick and family leave for certain self-employed individuals. So certain self-employed individuals, there's a link to that here. They'll claim the tax credit on their 2020 Form 1040. So we're talking about 2020 Form 1040, which we're filing currently or shortly in 2021. So they're going to determine that on the 2020 1040 for leave taken between April 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2020. And we also have their 2021 tax return, which wouldn't be filed until 2022. So that's not the immediate concern, but we want to have the documentation for it. 2021 Form 1040 for leave taken between January 1st, 2021 and March 31st, 2020. So once again, the immediate need here, filing the 2020 tax return, then we're thinking about the leave that would be taken between April 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2020 to be claimed on the 2020 tax return, which we're filing in 2021. And then in the following year, for the 2021 year, when we file the 2021 tax return in 2022, then we're talking about the period of January 1st, 2021 and March 31st, 2021 for kind of like that leave type of period that you'd be using for the calculation, I'm assuming, of the Form 7202. So the FFCRA passed in March 2020, allowing eligible self-employed individuals who, due to COVID-19, are unable to work or telework for reasons relating to their own health or to care for a family member to claim refundable tax credits to offset their federal income tax. The credits are equivalent to either their qualified sick leave or family leave equivalent amount, depending on circumstances. IRS.gov has instructions to help calculate the qualified sick leave equivalent amount and qualified family leave equivalent amount. Certain restrictions apply. So you're going to want to take a look at those instructions. Obviously, this is a fairly new type of thing. It's completely new, unique to this year and now 2021. So you're going to want to make sure that you do some research on this. So who may file the 7202? Eligible self-employed individuals must conduct a trade or business that qualifies as self-employed income. So typically we're thinking here, like a Schedule C would be, the most common thing that you would think would fall into that category most likely, and be eligible to receive qualified sick or family leave wages under Emergency Paid Sick Act as if taxpayer was an employee. So that's kind of like the funny terminology because, again, this thing was originally geared basically towards the employees Now we're kind of gearing it towards a self-employed business owner. And again, I think the idea being that the self-employed business owner is kind of being treated as an employee to some degree, given the fact that they're paying Social Security and Medicare, both for the employer and employee portion, on basically their net income, on the business net income. So taxpayers must maintain appropriate documentation establishing their eligibility for the credits as an eligible self-employed individual. So more resources related to it. We got Form 7202 and instructions, coronavirus, COVID-19 tax relief, IRS publication 4219, new COVID-19 employer tax credits, and FFCRA related Q&As. There's a link to those here. There'll be a link to this in the description.